The vacuum of space swallowed her screams whole. Kaya drifted among the twisted metal remains of the Starweaver, her fingers pressed against the cold surface of her helmet as blood trailed from the gash in her side. The emergency beacon in her escape pod had been silent for hours. No response. No rescue. Her people had either abandoned the sector or she couldn't bear to think about the alternative. Please, she thought sent, pouring every ounce of strength into the psychic call. Someone, anyone. The effort left her gasping and her vision blurred. The void hunters had struck without warning, their shadow ships materializing from quantum folds like nightmares given form. Her entire squadron gone in minutes. Now she floated alone, the starfield spinning lazily beyond her cracked visor, each rotation bringing her closer to unconsciousness. 3 systems away, aboard the salvage vessel Rust Bucket, Jax Thorne jolted awake in his bunk. "Help me!" The words weren't spoken aloud, yet they echoed through his skull like thunder. Jax sat up, heart hammering, sheets soaked with sweat. The voice was female, desperate, and completely alien to him. He pressed his palms against his temples, trying to shake off the vivid sensation of spinning through space, of pain so intense it made his stomach clench. "Lights," he croaked, and the dim emergency glow illuminated his cramped quarters. The engineer's tool belt hung on the wall where he'd left it. His terminal blinked with routine maintenance alerts, everything exactly as it should be, except for the lingering echo of terror in his mind. Jax stumbled to the intercom. "Captain Reyna, I need to speak with you." "It's 400 Thorne, this better be good." I think we need to change course." A pause, what? "There's someone out there. Sector 7 Gamma, they need help." "Our scans show nothing in that sector. Get back to sleep." Jax closed his eyes, and immediately the vision slammed into him again. Stars wheeling past, metal debris catching starlight, and he could somehow sense it was a her, growing weaker with each passing moment. "Please, Captain, I know how it sounds, but I'm telling you, someone is dying out there." The intercom crackled. "Meet me on the bridge, 10 minutes. Captain Reyna stood with her arms crossed as Jax approached, her graying hair tied back in a severe bun. The Rust Bucket's bridge was cramped but functional, designed for efficiency rather than comfort. Navigation Officer Torres looked up from his station, eyebrow raised. "Explain," Reyna said simply. Jax ran a hand through his hair. "I woke up from this dream, but it wasn't a dream. I could feel someone calling for help psychically." He held up a hand at her skeptical expression. "I know how that sounds, but I've never experienced anything like it. She's out there, Captain, in the debris field near the Gamma Quadrant border." Torres asked. Yes, don't ask me how I know." Reyna studied him for a long moment. In his 3 years aboard the Rust Bucket, Jax had never once requested a course change outside of salvage operations. He was efficient, reliable, kept to himself. "Torres scan Sector 7 Gamma, full spectrum." "Aye, Captain." The bridge fell silent except for the hum of systems and the occasional beep of scanning equipment. After several minutes, Torres straightened in his chair. "Captain, I'm picking up a faint energy signature. It's unusual, partially masked like someone's trying to hide." "Pirates." "No, ma'am, the signature is too weak. Could be an escape pod." Jax felt relief flood through him. "That's her, I know it is." Reyna's expression hardened. "Escape pod means combat, and if there's one thing worse than pirates, it's getting caught between warring factions." She tapped her chin thoughtfully. "But salvage laws are clear. We investigate." "Thank you, Captain." "Don't thank me yet, Torres. Lay in a course, and prepare the med bay, if whoever's out there has been drifting for long." Jax nodded grimly. In the black between stars, even minutes could mean the difference between rescue and recovery. As the Rust Bucket altered course, Jax felt another pulse of consciousness brush against his mind. Fainter now, like someone fighting to stay awake. He pressed his palm against the viewport, staring out at the infinite dark. Hold on, he thought, not knowing if she could hear him, not caring if it was impossible. "We're coming." The debris field appeared on their screens 2 hours later, a graveyard of twisted metal and scorched plating that had once been a magnificent spacecraft. The design was unlike anything in the standard databases, all flowing curves and organic shapes that seemed to writhe even in the stillness of space. "Unknown vessel class," Torres reported. "Looks like it was hit by energy weapons, multiple impacts." There, Jax pointed at the tactical display. The escape pod. It tumbled slowly end over end. A small silver capsule that looked intact but showed no power signatures beyond emergency life support. "Prep the salvage bay," Reyna ordered, "and get a security team ready. We don't know what we're dealing with." As they maneuvered closer, Jax felt that presence in his mind grow stronger. Images flashed before his eyes. A face with striking silver markings across deep blue skin, eyes that seemed to hold stars themselves. The sensation of suffocation, of systems failing, of hope fading. "Captain," he said urgently, "we need to hurry." The rust bucket's salvage arms reached out and gently captured the escape pod. Within minutes, they had it secured in the main bay. As Jax watched through the observation port, his breath caught in his throat. Through the pod's small viewport, he could see her, exactly as she had appeared in his vision, except now she wasn't moving. Her eyes were closed, her skin an alarming shade of gray-blue. "She's got maybe minutes," the medic, Dr. Patel, announced after a quick scan. "I need to get her to the med bay now." They extracted her from the pod with the careful precision of a military operation. Jax found himself holding his breath until he saw the faint rise and fall of her chest. As they carried her past him on the gurney, her hand brushed against his arm. The contact sent a jolt through his entire nervous system, and for just a moment her eyes flickered open. They were silver, shot through with veins of gold, and they locked onto his with an intensity that made the world stop. "You heard me." The voice in his head was weak but filled with wonder. And then she was past, being rushed to medical, and Jax was left standing alone in the salvage bay, his arm still tingling from her touch. "Thorn." Captain Reyna's voice snapped him back to reality. "Yes, ma'am. I want a full analysis of that pod and the debris field. Something destroyed that ship, and I want to know what before it finds us." She paused, studying his face. "And Thorn, I want to know how you knew she was out there." Jax looked at the medbay doors behind which the stranger was fighting for her life. "So do I, Captain, so do I." He had no idea that his answer to that question would change everything, not just for him and the mysterious woman from the stars, but for the future of interspecies relations across the galaxy. For now, all he knew was that he'd heard a call for help across impossible distances, and somehow, impossibly, he'd answered. The rust bucket hummed quietly as it drifted in the debris field, its human crew unaware that they had just rescued someone whose very existence would challenge everything they thought they knew about consciousness, connection, and love among the stars. Kaya's eyes opened to unfamiliar sounds, the hum of alien machinery, voices speaking in a language her translator implant struggled to decode. The sterile white ceiling above her head was all wrong. Where were the bioluminescent panels of Zorani design? Where was the soft purple glow that indicated safe space? She tried to sit up and immediately regretted it as pain lanced through her side. A figure moved in her peripheral vision, and she spun toward it with warrior reflexes, despite her weakened state. "Whoa, easy there," a voice said, and she found herself staring into warm brown eyes. The male who had somehow heard her psychic call. His thoughts brushed against hers like silk, and she flinched at the unexpected intimacy of contact. "You're safe," Jax said, holding his hands up peacefully. "You're on our ship, the Rust Bucket. We're salvagers, not military." Kaya's translator kicked in, parsing his words. She assessed him quickly, average height for a human, dark hair, lean build suggesting an engineer rather than a warrior. But his mind hummed with an energy she'd never encountered in another sentient being. "You heard me," she thought sent, watching his eyes widen as he received her communication. "I did. I don't understand how, but I did." He took a cautious step closer. "Can you speak? Aloud, I mean." Kaya tried, managing only a rasp. Her throat felt like she'd swallowed starfire. "Here," Jax poured water from a pitcher, supporting her head as she drank. The simple act of kindness, combined with the skin contact, sent a jolt through her system. Images flashed between them, her memories of the attack, his dream vision of her distress call, snippets of alien landscapes and human cities. She jerked back, nearly spilling the water. "Sorry," Jax steadied the cup. I'm not trying to read your mind, it just happens when we touch." "Impossible," she thought sent. "Humans have no psychic capability." "That's what I thought too." He set the cup aside, his fingers accidentally brushing hers. This time the contact was gentler, and Kaya found herself relaxing into the mental caress. She saw herself through his eyes, exotic, wounded, but undeniably beautiful in her alienness. The medbay doors hissed open, admitting Dr. Patel and Captain Reyna. "How's our guest?" Reyna asked, though her tone suggested she was asking about more than just medical status. "Conscious and communicating," Jax replied, "psychically." "Explain," the captain demanded. Kaya studied the older human female, nodding the authority she wielded. In halting words, her voice growing stronger, she said, "I am Kaya of the Zorani Fourth Fleet, my ship." She paused, pain flickering across her face. "Was destroyed," Jax finished, "by something called Void Hunters." All three humans turned to stare at him. "You know about Void Hunters?" Reyna asked sharply. When we touch, I see her memories," Jax demonstrated, taking Kaya's hand. The moment their skin connected, his eyes went unfocused. "Dark ships that appear from nowhere, energy weapons that tear through shields like paper. They're hunting. Psychics." Kaya nodded weakly. "My people thought we were the only telepathic species. We were wrong." "And now you're connected to our Jax here," Dr. Patel observed, running her scanner. "Fascinating. Your brain activity sinks when you're in contact." "Is that dangerous?" Jax asked, not letting go of Kaya's hand. "Unknown," the doctor admitted, "but her healing rate has accelerated since you started, sharing thoughts." Reyna's expression turned calculating. "The Void Hunters tracked your psychic signature once. Can they do it again?" Fear spiked through Kaya, and Jax winced at the emotion flooding their connection. "Yes," she thought sent grimly, "eventually." "Then we need to move fast," Reyna decided. "Jax, I'm assigning you to help our guest adapt to the ship. Learn everything you can about these Void Hunters, and figure out what the hell this connection between you two means." After the captain and doctor left, Jax settled into the chair beside Kaya's bed. "I should probably warn you," he said with a rueful smile. "I've never been good with people. I'm much better with machines." "I've never been good with machines," Kaya replied, surprising them both with a hint of humor. "Perhaps we balance each other." As if to prove her point, she reached out and traced the calluses on his palm, marks from years of engineering work. The touch sent waves of warmth through both of them, and Jax felt his breath catch as her fingers lingered. "The Zorani, do you form bonds like this?" he asked quietly. "Never, not with other species." Her silver eyes met his. "Not even with our own quite like this. So we're both flying blind." "Together, though." The single word held a promise that neither of them fully understood yet. But as Jax helped Kaya adjust to sitting upright, as their minds brushed against each other with increasing comfort, they both felt the stirring of something deeper than mere psychic connection. In the depths of space, unknown to the crew of the Rust Bucket, sensors aboard a shadow ship detected the faintest psychic echo and began triangulating its source. The Void Hunters had found their prey's trail. But for now, in the soft light of the medbay, as Jax taught Kaya basic human phrases, and she shared with him the star maps of Zorani space, they carved out a moment of peace. Their fingers intertwined naturally, sending pulses of understanding between minds, laying the foundation for something that would either save them both or doom them together. 3 days later, Kaya stood in the observation deck, watching stars blur past as the Rust Bucket jumped to hyperspace. Her recovery had been remarkable, though Dr. Patel attributed it more to the mysterious connection with Jax than to medical intervention. "You're up early," Jax's voice came from behind her. "Zorani don't sleep much during crisis periods," she thought sent, then added aloud. "Besides, I wanted to see the stars the way you do." He joined her at the viewport, close enough that his warmth radiated against her side. After days of contact, their connection had evolved. Where once it was overwhelming, now it felt as natural as breathing. "How are they different?" he asked. "Your spacecraft windows, they flatten the view. We use psychic lenses that let us sense dimensional layers." She paused. "Show me how you see them." Jax took her hand, and suddenly the stars gained depth, not just visual but emotional. He saw them as destinations, challenges to overcome, homes for undiscovered life. "Beautiful," she whispered. "Want to learn some human pastimes?" Jax grinned. "The rec room has combat simulators. Thought you might want to." "I would like that." The training session started professionally enough. Kaya adapted quickly to human interface systems, her warrior instincts merging with Jax's technical knowledge. But as they sparred in the virtual reality system, their connection intensified. Every dodge, every strike was accompanied by shared sensation. "You're cheating," Jax panted after Kaya landed him on the mat for the 5th time. "You keep broadcasting your moves." She offered him a hand up, amusement dancing in her silver eyes. As he took it, she deliberately increased the feedback in their mental link. Suddenly, they were sharing not just thoughts but muscle memory, breath patterns, heartbeats. Jax stumbled into her, catching himself with hands on her waist. They froze, the simulation environment blurring around them. The space between them crackled with tension, psychic, physical, and something far more dangerous. "Kaya," Jax whispered, his thumb unconsciously tracing patterns on her hip. "I know." Her voice in his mind was softer now, uncertain. "Among my people, such sharing is reserved for life bonds. What about among yours and mine?" Instead of answering, she reached up to touch his face. The contact exploded through their connection, his fascination with her strength, her surprise at her own desire for gentleness, the terrifying rightness of standing this close. "Captain to Jax Thorne," the intercom crackled. They sprang apart, both breathing hard. "Go," Kaya said, a blush darkening her blue skin. "I'll continue training." But as Jax left, their connection remained taut between them like a vibrating string, humming with possibilities neither was ready to voice. That night, alarms screamed through the ship. "All hands, proximity alert." Jax bolted from his quarters, meeting Kaya in the corridor. She wore makeshift human clothes but moved with predatory grace. "Void hunters?" he asked. "No, pirates." Feel the aggression rippling off them. On the bridge, chaos reigned. 3 unmarked ships had ambushed them at a salvage site, demanding cargo and credits. "Evasive maneuvers," Reyna shouted. The ship lurched, throwing Jax against a bulkhead. Kaya caught him, and the moment of contact sent a shock through the bridge crew as they all glimpsed, for just an instant, the psychic view of the battlefield. What tours began? "No time," Jax felt Kaya's tactical mind racing. "Kaya, can you extend the connection?" She understood immediately. Dangerous, but possible. "Do it." Kaya pressed her palms against the main console, Jax's hands over hers. The psychic link exploded outward, connecting the entire crew in a web of shared consciousness. The pirates never stood a chance. With perfect coordination born of shared thought, the Rust Bucket executed maneuvers that should have been impossible for a salvage vessel. Weapons fire that the pirates telegraphed psychically was dodged before it was fired. Tactical data flowed between crew members instantly. In minutes, the pirates were disabled and fleeing. As the connection faded, Kaya collapsed. Jax caught her, cradling her against his chest as the crew stared in stunned silence. "Too much," she gasped. "Your species not built for it." "You saved us," Jax murmured, carrying her to a chair. "We saved them," she corrected. Reyna cleared her throat. "Someone want to explain what just happened?" Before Jax could answer, Kaya stood on shaky legs. "Captain, I must tell you everything." She took a breath. "The Void Hunters, they don't just hunt psychics, they hunt potential." "Potential for what?" Kaya's eyes met Jax's. "For evolution, for bridges between species, for what your engineer and I are becoming." The bridge fell silent, except for the hum of systems returning to normal status. "And what exactly are you becoming?" Reyna asked softly. Jax felt heat rise in his cheeks as Kaya's answer whispered through his mind. Something unprecedented. That night, as the ship's automated systems handled the night shift, Jax found himself at Kaya's quarters. They hadn't spoken since the battle, but the psychic pull was undeniable. The door opened before he could knock. "I felt you thinking about coming," she explained, stepping aside. Her room was dimly lit, and she'd somehow made the standard quarters feel more organic, more alive. "I don't understand what's happening to us," Jax admitted. "Nor do I," she moved closer. "Among my people there are stories, ancient tales of a time when consciousness flowed freely between all species, before the barriers, before fear. Before the Void Hunters. Before everything." Her hand cupped his cheek. "Perhaps we're remembering how to be something we once were." The kiss, when it came, was inevitable. Not just a meeting of lips, but a merging of minds, bodies, souls. Jax felt himself falling into her, felt her falling into him, until the boundaries between self and other dissolved completely. When they finally broke apart, they were both trembling. "Stay," Kaya whispered, the word echoing in both their minds. "Always," Jax replied, knowing with absolute certainty that whatever dangers awaited them, whatever challenges the universe might throw their way, this connection, this love, was worth any price. As they moved together toward her bed, neither noticed the shadow ship decloaking at the edge of the system. Its sensors finally locked onto their psychic signature. The Void Hunters had found them at last. Jax woke before dawn to find Kaya studying the star charts on his personal terminal, wrapped only in his spare uniform shirt. The sight made his heart stutter, but something in her posture suggested this wasn't a morning for leisurely intimacy. "The Hunter ships move in patterns," she explained as he approached. "I've been matching them against ancient Zorani navigation routes." He kissed her shoulder, letting their connection flow as he studied her work. "What did you find?" "They're not hunting randomly." She turned to face him, worry shadowing her silver eyes. "They're following something specific, something that leads back to us." Before he could respond, alarms shrieked through the ship. "All hands to battle stations," Reyna's voice crackled over the comm. "We've got incoming." They dressed quickly, the shared urgency making words unnecessary. As they reached the bridge, Jax's blood ran cold at the tactical display. 3 massive ships had materialized from nowhere, their signatures unlike anything in the database. "Void Hunters," Tors confirmed grimly. "And not just any," Kaya added, her mental voice tight with fear. "The Crimson Fleet Elite Hunters." Captain Reyna's jaw tightened. "Options." Before anyone could answer, a second alarm triggered. Jax felt Kaya's shock ripple through their connection. "No," she whispered, "it can't be." "What?" Jax asked as a 4th ship's signature appeared on screens. "Zorani Battle Cruiser, Class Omega," her mental voice was hollow. "My own people." The comm system crackled with 2 simultaneous hails, one human standard, one in musical tones that could only be Zorani. "Unknown vessel," came the cold voice from the Void Hunters. "You harbor an abomination. Surrender the psychic anomaly and the human it has corrupted, and you may depart with your lives." The Zorani message, directed specifically at Kaya through psychic channels, was harsher. "Abomination. You have violated the most sacred law. Cross-species psychic bonding corrupts the purity of the mental plane. Surrender yourself for cleansing or be destroyed." The bridge fell silent as Jax felt the weight of both ultimatums through their connection. "They're the same," Kaya realized with dawning horror. "The Void Hunters and my own people. They're working together." "More than that," Jax said aloud, pieces clicking into place. "You said the Zorani thought they were the only psychic species, but the Void Hunters can track psychic signatures. They have psychics too." Kaya stared at him, then at the view screen. "We've been lied to our entire history." "Later," Reyna interrupted. "Right now we have 2 fleets demanding we surrender you both. Anyone have a better plan?" Jax felt resolve building in Kaya's mind, and his own heart sank as he realized what she was considering. "Don't," he warned privately. "It's the only way to save your crew." "No," he said it aloud this time, firmly. "We face this together." Touching, a new voice intruded. The view screen flickered to life, showing a figure that was neither fully Zorani nor quite like the humans, though feudal. "Who are you?" Reyna demanded. "I am Overseer Vask of the Joint Council. The Zorani and what you call Void Hunters have maintained the barriers between species for millennia, preventing exactly what these 2 have achieved." His gaze fixed on Jax and Kaya. "Your bond threatens the stability of the entire galactic order." "Bullshit," Kaya spoke sent forcefully enough that the whole bridge heard it. "You fear what we represent, unity where you've created division." "Prepare to be boarded," Vask continued as if she hadn't spoken. "Surrender willingly and the cleansing will be swift." The comm went dead. "Jax, Kaya," Reyna turned to them. "I won't order you to give yourselves up, but I need to protect my crew." Before either could respond, an idea blazed between their joined minds. "Captain," Jax said carefully, "what if we gave them exactly what they want?" Jax, "No. No, wait, Kaya, show them the battle pattern from yesterday." Understanding flashed through her consciousness. The crew-wide psychic link. Exactly, but amplified. If we're threats because we can bridge species psychically. We make the threat bigger, Kaya finished aloud. Much bigger. Reyna studied them. Explain. We link everyone on this ship. Humans, Zorani, whoever else is out there. Show them what true psychic unity looks like. That could kill us, Tors pointed out quietly. Or it could change everything, Kaya replied. Reyna made her decision in seconds. Do it. Jax and Kaya moved to the center of the bridge. This time they didn't just hold hands, they embraced fully, letting their minds merge completely. The psychic energy built between them like a storm gathering power. Everyone form a circle, Jax instructed the bridge crew. Skin contact where possible. As the crew linked up, Jax and Kaya extended their consciousness outward, preparing to bridge not just the ship, but potentially the void itself. Ready? Kaya's mental voice was soft with both love and fear. With you, always. They opened themselves completely to the connection, feeling it explode outward beyond the ship, rippling through space itself, and for the first time, touching other minds across the void. In those precious seconds before the Joint Council could react, humans, Zorani, and species they'd never dreamed of all shared a single consciousness. The barriers that had kept them separate for millennia shattered like glass, revealing not the chaos the Council feared, but a symphony of minds harmonizing across species lines. And in the hidden recesses of both fleets, on ships from every faction, individuals felt the call of true psychic unity for the first time. The revolution had begun with an engineer and a warrior, bound by love and possibility, choosing to shatter the silence of space with a message the universe had waited eons to hear. They were all connected, always had been, and no force in the galaxy could ever change that again. The silence that followed the psychic pulse was absolute. Jax and Kaya stood locked in embrace on the bridge, barely conscious as the echo of 1,000 shared minds faded from their awareness. Around them, the crew stared at their fellow beings, some human, some with silver markings, some with features they'd never seen before, all wearing expressions of stunned wonder. On the tactical display, both fleets hung motionless in space. Overseer, a voice came through the comm, Zorani but uncertain. Sir, the crew. There. Report, Vask's voice cracked. They're sharing memories, sir, humans and Zorani. They remember ancestors, common ancestors, before the separation. Jax felt Kaya's joy pulse through their still-active connection. It worked, she whispered mentally. The truth remembers itself. Captain Reyna's tactical officer, now with awareness of Zorani heritage he'd never known, spoke hesitantly. Captain, I'm receiving surrender requests from both fleets. Surrender? Reyna raised an eyebrow. Not to their governments, Tors clarified, his own eyes bright with new understanding. To the unity, individuals are choosing connection over separation. The view screen activated, showing Overseer Vask's face, but it looked different now. The harsh certainty was gone, replaced by confusion and something that might have been fear. What have you done? He demanded. Jax stepped forward, still holding Kaya's hand. We showed everyone who we really are, what we've always been before you convinced us to be afraid. You've destroyed the order we spent millennia building. You destroyed something that existed before you began, Kaya corrected. Something that will exist long after you're gone. Behind Vask, they could see figures moving, crew members from different species embracing, sharing thoughts without permission from the Council. Sir, came another report through the comm, our psychic suppression systems aren't responding. The crew is, making connections we can't block. Vask's image flickered and died. On the rust bucket, Dr. Patel looked at her scanner readings with amazement. The psychic profile of everyone on this ship has changed. Permanently, we're all connected now, at a base level. The question is, Reyna mused, what do we do with it? Before anyone could answer, a new voice, warm, melodious, filled the bridge. If I may suggest. They turned to see a figure that hadn't been there moments before, or perhaps had always been there, invisible until now. Humanoid but ethereal, with features that seemed to shift between species. Who are you? Jax asked. I am what you might call a precursor. We assisted in the development of psychic ability across the galaxy long ago. We've been waiting for this moment. Waiting for what? For two beings to love each other enough to risk everything, to choose unity over safety, connection over isolation. The figure smiled at Jax and Kaya. Your bond didn't just bridge two species, it awakened the dormant psychic potential in all species. The evolution we began can now continue. Captain Reyna, ever practical, asked, and the Council, the Void Hunters. They will adapt or be left behind. Already their crews are choosing new paths. Within hours, the concept of separate species will be antiquated. Jax felt Kaya's mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. Their connection had stabilized but deepened, no longer requiring effort to maintain. What happens to us? He asked. The precursor's expression became gentle. You become the first of many. Your bond will be studied, emulated, celebrated, but first. The figure waved its hand, and suddenly Jax and Kaya stood in what appeared to be a garden beneath twin suns, the rest of the crew and ships replaced by endless flowers in colors they'd never seen. First you rest, and then you build. Build what? Kaya asked. The future, a colony for those who choose connection, a place where all species can learn to share consciousness as naturally as you do. The precursor gestured, and they saw a vision, a world where cities were shaped by collective thought, where problems were solved through shared intelligence, where difference was celebrated as strength rather than feared as weakness. Will it be easy? Jax asked. Nothing worthwhile ever is, but you won't face it alone. The garden faded and they were back on the bridge, but everything had changed. Species barriers had dissolved not into sameness, but into celebration of difference within unity. The crew moved with unconscious harmony, decisions flowing through shared thought. Kaya turned to Jax, her silver eyes bright with unshed tears. From a desperate call across the void to a love that changed the galaxy. Did we change it, or did we just remember what it already was? She kissed him, and this time the entire bridge crew felt the love flowing between them. Not invasively, but like a gentle reminder of what was possible. Perhaps, she replied, it was always both. Captain Reyna cleared her throat. So about that colony. As they began planning the first truly multi-species settlement, reports streamed in from across the galaxy. The psychic awakening was spreading like wildfire. Within days, the concept of species barriers would be as ancient as the fear that created them. And at the center of it all, an engineer and a warrior who had heard each other's call across the void, proving that love, true love, was the most powerful force in the universe. The Rust Bucket, no longer just a salvage vessel, but now the flagship of a new era, sailed toward a future neither human nor Zorani could have imagined alone. But together they had created. In the quantum foam between stars, in the space between thought and reality, their psychic bond hummed like a beacon, calling others to remember what they had forgotten. That in the vast loneliness of space, no one was ever truly alone. They were all and had always been connected. The old boundaries had fallen. The future, bright with infinite possibility, had begun. And it had started with a scream across the void, heard by someone who should have been unable to receive it, answered by someone brave enough to think the impossible. I'm coming. In the end, that was all it took to change everything. Someone willing to answer, and someone brave enough to call.